what's up, you guys? It's your girl RX, okay? And I am back with another video for y'all, okay? I'm super happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in yet again, okay? If you are new to my channel, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment, okay? Let me know that you new around here to the Wonder family, all right? To my returning people, my Wonder family out there, what's up? Much love. Thank you guys for coming back again, okay? So y'all know me, I get straight to it, okay? We not here on Zach, okay? So look, today's topic is something that I have been wanting to talk about for a long time. It's an issue that I see happening so much within so many different demographics. This is something that does not discriminate against color or, you know, class or anything, okay? And that is trauma, okay? Trauma. And trauma is bound to happen, okay? Trauma is bound to happen to most people in their life, okay? Traumatic experiences are happening all the time, and it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter, you know, how good you feel or whatever. Trauma can happen, okay? So I want everybody to be very clear about that and very aware of that, you know, trauma can happen to anyone, okay? So with that being said, the topic of this video today and what I really want to drive, you know, the point to on this video is going to be overcoming trauma, okay? Overcoming trauma, because it doesn't matter what happens to you, you are equipped with the strength and the ability to overcome any obstacles that have been on your path, okay? So we just gonna hop right in. What is trauma? Okay, trauma is when you experience a stressful and frightening event, okay? Anything that's stressful and frightening, that, you know, it could be violent, it could be you know, subtle, like it is anything that bothers you, that makes you feel afraid or stressed out, that is trauma. Trauma can affect us emotionally, and that right there is a very big component of it. It can affect us mentally as well, but today I'm really going to be focused on the emotional aspect of trauma, okay? And emotional trauma, it can affect us sometimes short term, sometimes long term, and the key of that right there is to, you know, put an end to it. And there are things that you can do, and there are ways that you can get past it. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. So there are different events that can be considered traumatic, okay? It could be something like experiencing a natural disaster. It could be something like experiencing a domestic disaster. It can be a level of violence. It could be a car accident. It could be, you know, being involved you know, in like a store, and something traumatic happens inside of the store, like somebody, you know, gets hurt, badly injured, things like that. Or trauma can also just be abuse. I'm talking just verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. Like, these are all things that people experience, and it can leave a very, very traumatic stain on this person's emotions and on their mental. So there are 3 levels of trauma, okay? The first one is acute trauma. And acute trauma is your response either during the traumatic experience or right after the traumatic experience, okay? That is acute trauma. Next after that would be chronic trauma, okay? And that right there is not the chronic that you smoke, okay? We're not talking about that. We're talking about multiple events that have happened and how you are responding to that right there for like a longer period of time. After that right there would be complex trauma, and that right there is how you respond to multiple events, traumatic events that have happened, things that may or may not even be related. It could be one thing happened today, the next thing happened the week after, and it's how you're responding to those things, okay? And obviously when it's complex trauma, you're gonna need more care for something like that as opposed to something like acute trauma. And another thing I want to really say to you guys is that whenever you guys experience anything traumatic, it is so important to get help right away, or to start doing your healing process right away, okay? I know so many people that are living with trauma that happened to them 20 years ago, and they are carrying those burdens, and they are carrying, you know, that shame and that guilt, and it's been so many years that have taken place and they haven't done anything to help themselves. So that right there would be, you know, complex, because there's other traumatic things that have happened, and everything is just being tacked on to this person's mental, to this person's psyche, to this person's emotional front. Like that right there is like, you know, really hard to live with. It's really hard to deal with. Like, I've been there. I didn't know that I could get help from the traumatic experiences that I've had in my life. And once I started getting the help, I started really having to go back to those times and sort things out and realize, oh damn, like, you know, this stuff right here did more damage than what I thought. So it's always so important to get help right away. We're also going to get into some tips. We're going to get into some ways that you can overcome the obstacles of trauma in your life. Okay, let's get started with it. So some symptoms of trauma can be nightmares. It could be sleepless nights. It could be insomnia. It could be having flashbacks of a traumatic experience. It could even be anxiety or depression. And those right there are the main things that you want to look out for, because if you are living with those things, those symptoms, it can spiral onto other things. And something that oftentimes spirals out to would be alcohol abuse, okay, or drug abuse, or self-harm. And these right here are things that you absolutely want to steer clear away from, okay? So if you have experienced something traumatic and how you're coping with it is through drinking alcohol or doing drugs or self-harming, it might have a instant short-term gratification attached to it, to where it's like, okay, I'm about to drink, or I'm about to self-harm, or I'm about to self-abuse myself with drugs or whatever, and I'm gonna feel good for these couple of hours. But after those couple of hours, all those same problems come back to you. The depression, the anxiety, this negative self-talk, all these different things, the self-blaming, the self-pity, all these things will come back to you. So it's best to just eliminate that use and tackle the issues at hand, tackle the symptoms at hand, and not try to handle the symptoms by masking it and covering it up, because that's only going to make things worse overall for you in the long run. Okay. So, something that you can do to overcome the obstacles of trauma would be living in the present moment. A lot of times when people are living and working through trauma, they are living in the past. Their mind state is in the past. Their mind state is on that day when that traumatic thing happened. Okay, and we have to get out of that mind state. How we are going to get out of that mind state is to live in the present moment, okay? And ways that you could do this right here is through breath work, you know, deep breathing. You know, something that I would always teach my clients, especially when they are experiencing, you know, that anxiety or living in the past, and you know, feeling those negative feelings, they don't feel like they're inside of their body. It feels like they're like a robot and they're just living from day to day, and they just, you know, feel very off. So something that you can also do is count backwards from 10, or maybe count backwards from 20. Maybe you need a higher number, or maybe you only need to count backwards from 5. But just to count yourself back into your body, into your present body. You know, take a moment and wiggle your fingers and realize, you know, okay, I have 10 fingers. Literally count it out loud. Count out your 10 fingers, okay? It may sound very minuscule, or it may sound, you know, small, but this right here is a very strong tool that you can be using to get yourself out of that anxious state, okay? Keep your mind's eye on like your head. Like, okay, like my head is on my body. Okay, my neck is here. I feel my neck. Okay, you know, my shoulders, you know, my chest, my stomach, you know, my legs, my toes. Wiggle your toes, count your toes. So that way you realize, okay, I'm here. I'm in my body. I'm safe. I'm out of harm's way. I'm not, you know, experiencing that traumatic event right now. And that right there is really going to retrain your brain and rewire your brain to be like, okay, we're here in this present moment. And right now I'm doing a 21-day journey on my Instagram. So if you are not following that, make sure you catch up with it on my Instagram, okay? But something that I said on there, which is so true and it's so important, is that whenever we experience, you know, bad things and it rewires our brain, so to speak, and we want to, you know, wire our brain back to where, you know, we were before that traumatic event, it takes 21 days, okay? It takes 21 days of us completely focusing on those affirmations and those, you know, anxiety releasing techniques. Other things that you can be doing would be things like meditation. There are tons of meditations that you can find here on YouTube. You can also be doing Qigong. You could be doing yoga. And if you are not familiar with those, you can definitely look those up online. But I suggest you to take a class. I'm sure there's a community center near you where you can take those classes. And also walking. Get outside, get in nature and walk. If you could walk on the grass barefoot, that right there would be the most ideal thing for you to do that I would suggest to you. Okay, walking on the grass barefoot, okay, or just standing or sitting in the grass, no shoes on, connect with the earth. That right there was a really good grounding technique for you. Okay, so another thing that people often do is that they like isolate themselves, right? And right now, whenever something like that happens to you, isolating yourself is not the answer. You need to be around people. You need to be in your community. You should be, you know, around other people, whether that is like, you know, volunteering, or you just getting outdoors with some other people, connecting with your friends, connecting with your family, just to get yourself out of that isolation mode. It's so easy for you to stay in your comfort zone and say, well, I dealt with that, I'm gonna just stay right here until I feel better. No, you have to get out of that comfort zone. Break out of that. Do not get comfortable in solitude, in isolation. That right there is actually going to set you back rather than excelling you forward. So do not go into isolation, okay? It's not good for you. Other things that you could be doing is going to seminars, going to conferences, going and listening to local speakers who are, you know, talking about various topics. Just go there. Most of the time they're free, or it will be a small fee, okay? And please remember that I am not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose you. I'm not here to, you know, prescribe you with anything. Make sure that if you are suffering, or if you are feeling like self-harming yourself, or if you're feeling any type of negative energy around you to where you're not wanting to be here no more and you want to unalive yourself, you make sure you go and seek professional help, okay? If you feel like it is just too much for you and you are swimming against the current, seek professional help, okay? Something that I talked about before that goes a long way would be self-care. And if you haven't seen my self-care blog already, make sure you guys go and watch that immediately after this video right here, okay? Because I talk in depth about self-care and give so many suggestions. But self-care is so important for yourself because you gotta nurture yourself. You gotta take care of yourself. You have to make sure that you are getting the proper rest, the proper nutrients, the proper sunlight, and also doing those proper activities that is going to help you to care for yourself. And that way you can build up your confidence, okay? You could build up your self-esteem. You could get back to that person that you were before this traumatic event happens to you. Another thing that I will say is to let go of the burden, okay? Let go of the burden. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. Release the shame. Release the guilt. And I have a video up about release work, and that right there is something that you will greatly benefit from, to release any and all negative emotions that you feel that are attached to that traumatic experience, okay? You have to release those things and let those things go, so that way you can make room for better things to come for yourself, for better things to manifest into your life. It's like a garden. If you just have a whole bunch of weeds all over the place, you got to pull those weeds up and you got to plant some flowers, you got to plant some crops, you got to plant some produce, okay? And watch those things grow and take care of those things. It's not always the easiest in the world. This stuff does take time. That's why you do have to be patient. That's another thing that you have to do in this process, is be patient, because it ain't going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. But work with yourself, work with others, love yourself, nurture yourself, and care for yourself through the entire process, okay? Okay, you guys, so that was my video today about overcoming trauma. This right here is something that I will continue to talk about. I will be talking about more trauma related subjects. A lot of people have been hitting me up about talking about, you know, PTSD and how to overcome, you know, burdens and traumas and things from, you know, past, and inner child healing work. So I will be doing more videos about that very soon. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, but hit that notification bell, okay? Much love to you all. Peace.